This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. The Sandinista government of Nicaragua today released 7 prominent opposition leaders, another step in partial compliance with the Central American peace plan. But in Washington, President Reagan and his aides say they are wary, they don't trust the motives behind the Sandinista peace moves, and they will not back off their bid for more military aid to the Contra rebels. Bill Plant reports on the new Contra aid showdown coming up in Congress.
President Reagan has decided to launch a campaign for more military aid to the Contra rebels, despite a new promise by Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega to comply with the Central American peace plan. The White House is scheduled to announce its funding plans for the Contras January 26th. Congress has agreed to a vote 1 week later, and administration officials today ridiculed the timing of Ortega's offer.
In the last 5 months, they haven't done anything. So then 2 weeks before the vote on Capitol Hill, they make more promises. What is the purpose of it? It seems to be very clear the purpose is to win that vote.
Ortega today repeated the pledges made over the weekend to negotiate directly with the Contras and to lift a state of emergency in Nicaragua. He said any move by Congress to aid the Contras would kill that peace offer. Congressional opponents of aid say the Reagan administration has been trying all along to undermine the peace process.
And this administration is committed for a military victory for the Contras. They don't want peace. They don't want democracy. They want the Contras in charge in Central America, because that's what the right wing wants.
Administration officials tell CBS News they expect to ask for approximately $100 million in military aid, perhaps less if a ceasefire is in place. But even supporters of that aid are worried.
Then the showdown will come on the 3rd and 4th of February, first in the House, then in the Senate. And I frankly doubt there are enough votes for additional Contra aid.
The White House will spend the next few weeks trying to change that with a public relations push for Contra aid to include several presidential speeches and this videotaped message from Mr. Reagan to American Legion meetings across the nation.
For the security of our nation and for the cause of freedom in our hemisphere, America must stand by the freedom fighters in Nicaragua.
The president's staff will argue that U.S. help to the Contras is the only reason for Ortega's concessions, and that more military aid will provide the only leverage that the U.S. has with the Sandinistas or their Soviet patrons. But the White House faces a lot of skeptics in Congress who are uncomfortable being told by the administration that the only way to peace in Central America is through more war. Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
The military-dominated government of Haiti today called yesterday's elections a success and a turning point in Haitian history. Opposition leaders dismissed the voting as a farce. They said the turnout was as little as 10% and the winner would have no credibility or power. The government gave out no figures on the turnout or the results. Across America today, the 3rd annual observance of the national holiday honoring assassinated civil rights leader, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Dr. King's widow and children attended an ecumenical service at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, the church of his father. Amid the music and the memories, in Philadelphia today, this was a bell ringer day for Rosa Parks. In 1955, she said no to segregation laws that made blacks sit in the back of the bus in Montgomery, Alabama. Today, Rosa Parks took a back seat to no one as she rang the Liberty Bell. In Phoenix, Arizona, thousands marched in a downpour asking for the reinstatement of a King state holiday observance and to add to growing demands for the ouster of Evan Meekum, the governor who repealed the King holiday. The theme of this year's King holiday observance is Living the Dream. It is now 20 years since Dr. King, the dreamer and doer, was shot and killed. Today, a generation later, living the dream means first facing the reality that desegregation is not integration and that racism is not limited to any one region of the country. Richard Schlesinger reports on the remembering and the anger and the concern this day far north of Dixie.
They are calling it a rebirth of the civil rights movement, this time north of the Mason-Dixon line in New York.
The same kind of hatred and animosity that we saw 30 years ago in the South, we see right now presently in New York.
When 3 white teenagers were convicted of killing 1 black man and severely beating another in Howard Beach, Queens, it exposed hidden conflicts in a troubled city.
Those white kids were wrong in Howard Beach? Yeah.
How would they want?
Yeah, because they left them alive.
The Howard Beach case led to a series of attacks against blacks and whites in New York. On Christmas night, 2 black brothers were beaten by a gang of white youths in Brooklyn.
Nothing like this should happen to anyone. I'm happy that I survived.
Their color ain't right. This is white, and this neighborhood's always be white.
2 days before that, police said a gang of blacks beat a white cab driver in Manhattan. Police report the total number of racial attacks in New York has doubled over the last year.
As my occupation takes me into predominantly white neighborhoods, it runs through my mind, maybe I ought to lock the doors.
At one of today's observances of Martin Luther King's birthday, some black leaders protested against New York Mayor Ed Koch. Many blacks have attacked the mayor for not fighting racism.
I'm not in any way diminishing the rising racial tensions, but I am saying that to say it's the order of the day is unfair.
But civil rights activists say the demonstrations will continue, that protest tactics used in the South during the 60s should be applied to New York in the 80s.
Basically now in the North, we must begin a northern civil rights movement.
As some civic leaders work to soften the rhetoric, the Howard Beach prosecutor worries about the consequences of failure.
I think we could have something like a riot, if not a riot itself, in some of the communities because of the anger.
Few are predicting a riot, but as the new civil rights movement here gains momentum, protests could become as commonplace in New York as they were in the South more than 20 years ago. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, New York.
In the years since Dr. King's death, there have been important changes in law and in attitudes throughout the American South, and in the growing clout of Southern black voters. But reminders and to some symbols of a once strictly segregated society are never far from the surface. Peter Van Sant reports tonight on one example, the controversy over showing the flag, the Confederate flag.
It is a symbol to many Southerners as powerful as the song Dixie. The Confederate flag is still waved with pride at many public events. It is still flown over the state capitals of South Carolina and Alabama, and is part of the state flags of Georgia and Mississippi.
It means heritage, where I'm from and what I stand for.
But what is heritage to some is a symbol of racial hatred and intolerance to the NAACP, which wants all traces of the Confederate flag removed from Southern state governments.
For me, it brings up the Confederacy and what the Confederacy meant: succession, slavery, oppression, repression.
In Alabama, a black state representative is threatening to climb the Capitol dome and cut down the Confederate flag.
It's the last remaining psychological warfare symbol that stands before us. We want it removed.
Some of these holes that are in here are bullet holes, you know.
There is strong resistance to lowering the Confederate flag from many Southerners who see it as a memorial to their Civil War dead.
We are not prepared to take the flag down, tuck it away to the quiet corner of a museum, and turn our back on our ancestors. It does not represent hate, does not represent racism.
Many Southern racists have adopted the Confederate flag as their own, carrying it when they confront civil rights marchers and when they take their racial hatred to the streets. But one civil rights leader says the battle over the Confederate flag is not worth waging.
It's no big thing, because I don't think that changing it would change a single attitude. In fact, the fight to change it exacerbates negative attitudes.
Civil rights groups have gathered more than 20,000 signatures in preparation for a legislative offensive which may put the Confederate flag in what the NAACP calls its rightful place, the history books. Peter Van Sant, CBS News, Atlanta.
And still to come tonight on the CBS Evening News, Bruce Morton and Bob Schieffer on presidential politics. David Browning on a huge West Coast storm that's now heading east. And John Blackstone on a flying car that, well, needs work.
Farewell to old places, a road to new faces. It's driving
starting to meet a new neighbor. Goodbye to the roads that we've known. Hello, the Sabre.
As the roadway unwinds, this is quality time
that you and the Sabre share. Oh, the great American road belongs to Buick.
Mom, I'm too young to get heartburn.
But you're not too young for Tums. It's rich in calcium, and our doctor said teenagers need extra calcium in their diets.
As much as their moms do?
Yes.
This is Brother Rice. He hasn't spoken a word in exactly 20 years. So I brought him this new FTD Celebrate bouquet. The flowers, colorful bowl, and fun box make it a celebration worth shouting about, right? Send the new FTD Celebrate bouquet.
Morning, Johnson. You're eating all brand? Fiber One has more fiber.
There's more fiber in Fiber One, lovey.
Fiber One has more fiber.
Did I get any mail?
No.
If you're looking for fiber, the one with more fiber is Fiber One.
I say, Johnson.
I know. Fiber One has more fiber than all brand.
No. Your tie is floating in your cereal.
A marauding storm linked to 7 deaths roared inland today after hammering the coast of Southern California. Los Angeles forecasters said the storm was so intense it sent barometers to the lowest levels ever measured in a century of record keeping. David Browning had the watch.
Dawn broke with a vengeance on the Pacific shore. Giant waves up to 20 feet high pounding the beach towns of Southern California. The high water tore away at coastal buildings from Malibu, where homes belonging to entertainers Joni Mitchell and Don Rickles were damaged, down through Redondo Beach, where a huge oceanfront hotel was swamped.
I've been with a fire department for 23 years, and this is the worst that I've ever seen here.
Some called it a sneak attack, a storm that gathered force so quickly and struck so hard it caught many off guard. This restaurant was jam-packed when waves came crashing through the windows.
I was rushing down the aisle trying to get people out of there, and a rock hit the window and just inundated me with water. I was underwater, hit a booth. I think I broke a rib.
In the wake of the storm came high winds and a massive traffic tie-up on snowbound Interstate 5 through the mountains north of Los Angeles. And the rough weather brought out California's hardcore surfers, who consider 20-foot waves not a threat, but a thrill.
It's the way of life out here. We wait for months for surf to get this big.
Tonight, the brunt of this storm has moved across the Rockies and into the plains, leaving over a foot of snow in parts of Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. And before it's over, it could be one of the worst of the winter. David Browning, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Near Houston today, 1 person died and at least 5 suffered injuries when a twin-engine business jet crashed after clipping trees and power lines. Because the plane landed in a remote field of tall grass, a policeman had to wave a red vest to signal other rescuers. Officials said the jet from Monterrey, Mexico, was attempting to land in a heavy fall.
The first time I see a prospective customer, I ask them to write down the name of their long-distance company's sales rep. Most of them can't. Then they realize they've never met one. Now, I can go on about MCI's superior technology and quality and how much better our billing system is, but in my view, none of that means beans if we don't care enough to sit down with you and show you.
Until you call, you'll never know how much better a long-distance company can be. MCI. Let us show you.
Oh, look at the time. I gotta get some Z's.
Nitol will help you get your Z's.
Nitol helps you feel drowsy so you can get your Z's.
Nitol will help you get your Z's.
Troubled by bad breath? Then have a Milk-Bone dog biscuit to help scrape away plaque and food particles to give you cleaner teeth, fresher breath. Get Milk-Bone because, naturally, every dog wants fresher breath.
You know, I'm not easily annoyed, but I never liked the way the vegetables always fell off between the sirloin on my beef kebabs. I fixed that. I don't put vegetables on my beef kebabs. In fact, I believe that's why someone invented salad.
Beef, real food for real people.
Today's national holiday honors a man who had a religious and a national political message. Pulpit politics now has taken on a different meaning in the presidential race. Democratic hopeful, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, marched and worked with Dr. King. Republican hopeful, former TV preacher Pat Robertson, is trying to mobilize his own army of evangelicals. Each is struggling to parlay his preacher savvy and name recognition into votes. And with the Iowa caucuses just 3 weeks from today, neither one is taking it on faith. We have reports tonight on both. First, Chief Political Correspondent Bruce Morton on the Jackson campaign.
The most visible black leader of the 80s today honored the most visible black leader of the 60s. Jesse Jackson's agenda, like King's, is now economic, but his testing ground is different. Not demonstrations or legislation, but a presidential campaign whose first test is here in Iowa.
Man wants to give me a shake.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Hey, man.
Call yes you can. You're so special, boy.
He is a real candidate this time, not just a protest candidate, and his campaign is aimed at particular people.
Farmers and workers united will never be defeated. Urban and rural must come together, and together you will prevail.
Jesse Jackson, the next president of the United States.
Jackson's constituency is the have-nots, farmers fearful of losing their farms, workers of losing their jobs. He talks economic justice, a Bill of Rights for workers. Even in Iowa, where just 1% of the voters are black, he's made some converts, though he can't match other campaigns in spending for television or direct mail.
If we would have had a lot of money for staff and for media and mail, it would have helped. But I'm confident that the message is out there.
Analysts estimate that 15 to 20% of Americans simply won't vote for a black. That does not mean that Jackson has no followers here.
I think he stands to win votes not just from black voters, but from some of the progressive white voters as well, who've been important in the caucuses and the primaries in recent years on the Democratic side.
Don't say Jesse, but say Jesse, therefore. Let America be America. For all of the Americans. God bless America. I want to be your next president. Thank you very much. Right.
A lot of the whites he meets say they like him. Fewer are sure they'll vote for him. It's a long-shot journey from Jackson headquarters in Greenfield, Iowa, to the White House. But Jackson is traveling hard. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Greenfield, Iowa.
Candidate Pat Robertson will be appearing in DeWitt at 9:45.
Thank you very much. God bless you. They're going to be here in 15 minutes, so skedoodle.
In Iowa today, they spent hours getting ready for Pat Robertson because on the Robertson campaign, no detail goes unattended.
It's a quick in and out inside. It's just right in and out.
All this for the big moment, and when the candidate arrives, maximum use is made of every second. No jokes, no warm-up. He gets right to the message.
We're going to do this thing together. There is no problem too great for us to handle if we all work at it together.
The message is short, the theme's broad, with more time devoted to personal contact than speech-making. The crowds are of respectable size, but sometimes are fleshed out by faithful who follow him from stop to stop. So it's difficult to gauge whether the so-called hidden Robertson vote is really out there. Pat Robertson is rolling across Iowa in a caravan of buses that will make 27 stops over the next 2 days. But this is no backwater tent evangelist operation. This is a tour choreographed by a former New York advertising executive.
So we want to get out and meet the people, shake their hands, take a question or two, listen to what they're saying and what they think they need in their next president.
Connie Snap is in charge of shaping Robertson's image, part of a highly sophisticated campaign organization traveling with its own camera crew. The strategy is simple. Play down the preacher part, play up that Robertson can deal with the issues.
The minute they hear me talk about farm policy, foreign policy, economic policy, and education, they go away saying, well, we're going to support it.
As Robertson rolls across Iowa, the campaign has ordered 1 million audio cassettes for supporters. There's a new half-hour commercial airing nationally, and home videos for those who want to hold their own Robertson rallies.
Come on now, it's early in the morning, but we can do it. Are you ready? Go!
Go, Pat! Go, Pat!
And if that's not enough, in DeWitt, Iowa at least, a fine cheerleading coach available on request.
And if we forgot to mention it, they're also very enthusiastic, Dan.
Well, Bob and Bruce, many people expected these preachers to get a lot in Iowa and maybe even come out of the pack. We hear less talk about that now with only 3 weeks to go, but there is remaining 3 weeks. What are the chances?
Well, I think, Dan, number one, that Pat Robertson ought to be taken seriously. This was a very interesting experience for me today. This was not some pickup ragtag group. This is a very articulate man who has hired some very competent professionals to run his campaign. I think the other candidates should take him seriously.
Jesse Jackson, Dan, got something like 1.5% of the vote here last time. He'll do better than that this time, but nobody knows how much better. It, in a sense, doesn't matter because he's in this race to stay. He thinks he'll do very well on Super Tuesday in the South.
Well, Bruce and Bob, the history of these Iowa caucuses is that there's a massive shift right near the end. Does that look like that'll be the case this time as well?
Well, I don't think we can gauge that at this point. I guess we'll have to wait right until the end to find out. But at this point, Bob Dole on the Republican side seems to be the clear leader out here. George Bush seems to be running second. Pat Robertson is running third. He said today he may even finish second. But I think we'll see those three people at the top of the Republican side.
And on the Democratic side, Bruce?
Well, the best organized Democrats, and this is supposed to be an organization state, are Gephardt, Simon, Dukakis, maybe Bruce Babbitt. But I run into a lot of voters who say, I haven't made up my mind yet.
And Gary Hart still leads the polls.
Well, leads the polls maybe, but again, whether those people are paying homage to a celebrity or whether they're really motivated enough to vote is something we'll have to wait to find out.
Bruce and Bob, thank you very much. The civilian government of Argentina has put down its second army revolt in 9 months. Rebel leader Colonel Aldo Rico surrendered this afternoon to end a 3-day crisis. He and about 100 military followers were facing an advance by 2,000 loyalist soldiers. Earlier today, loyal troops drove out about 20 rebels who had seized the control tower at the Metropolitan Airport in Buenos Aires. 4 of the Argentine rebels were arrested. After 17 years of battling with Soviet authorities, Joseph Begun finally left the country today, bound for Israel. The Soviet Union's leading Jewish dissident was released from prison 11 months ago and was granted permission to immigrate last September. But Begun stayed until now to fight for other Jews' right to immigrate.
When your coffee's rich enough for all working day long, and it tastes your way,
it's necessarily Nescafe. Great coffee blends to taste your way. That's necessarily Nescafe.
after scrupulous examination, a leading consumer publication called it the best car we've ever tested. Road and Track judged that it may be the best sedan in the world. The Mercedes-Benz 300E astonished the experts. Let it astonish you.
A bowl of Fiber One has 6 times as much fiber as a bowl of grape nuts. 6 times as much. Unless, of course, you eat your grape nuts out of this baby.
Ann Robbins is about to get a visit from an old friend. Pain. With age, her minor arthritis has made even simple moves painful ones. That's why her next move is to Metaprin. Metaprin has the same medicine as Motrin, and nothing's proven faster for relief of minor arthritis pain or any kind of pain. It's also gentler to your stomach than aspirin. Metaprin works fast when you haven't got time for the pain.
Researchers date the beginning of what's called the unidentified flying object phenomenon to the 19th century. Generally, we started calling UFOs flying saucers in 1947. Some people believe UFOs are spaceships from other planets. If you've never seen a flying saucer, you will now. John Blackstone taped it.
One of the stars of this year's Philadelphia Auto Show is not an automobile at all, but a flying saucer. It's one of those American dreams that just won't go away. Behind every garage door, not a car, but a personal flying machine. It's a dream more widely pursued than you might imagine. If Detroit thinks it has problems with Japanese imports, wait till some of these come on the market.
You'll go straight up to whatever altitude you need to clear obstacles.
In the high-tech corridor of California's Silicon Valley, there are believers.
This aircraft takes off from wherever you happen to be, flies directly to where you want to go, and lands there.
It doesn't yet, but it might one day. Even the Pentagon is watching closely.
Where you need the flexibility to land and take off at other than conventional airports, then this is the future.
But the road to this future has been long and winding, and one man has kept following it longer than most.
I've always had this desire to build this vehicle and make it work and own one. It's taken me a bit longer than I planned.
But today, Moeller plans to be in the cockpit himself to fly in front of the cameras. He first tried that back in 1967, and he did get into the air, though it was more a hop than a takeoff. Problems led to design changes, but Moeller kept building flying saucers.
We have time on our side, or have had time on our side, time to think about all the little elements that make it work.
Last summer, with a dummy in the cockpit, this transportation of the future was flown before the cameras by remote control. Cheered by that success, Moeller today is ready for a manned flight before the cameras, and he's the man. But first, one more test, with the saucer tethered to a crane for safety. It looks like a success, but the experts spot a problem with engine number 8.
Ooh.
The manned flight is scrapped.
I'm disappointed that we didn't have a man in it. I'm disappointed I didn't have a chance to fly in it today.
But Moeller will be back in pursuit of one version of the American dream. John Blackstone, CBS News, Davis, California.
And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Morning, ladies.
Morning.
Like to see how your cereals stack up to Total?
Lovely idea.
To get the vitamins in one bowl of Total, it takes almost 3 bowls of Special K.
Pass the all brand, Gloria.
Takes 4 bowls of that.
That's why I like shredded wheat.
Then you'll have to eat 12 bowls.
You better loosen your girdle, Margaret.
Total has 100% of 9 vitamins and iron and is rich in calcium.
I've always preferred Total.
Total, a stack of nutrition in just 1 bowl.
How fast does Anbesol relieve toothache pain? Before you can say.
Anbesol.
Denture pain? Before you can say.
Anbesol.
Anbesol stops minor mouth pain on contact. Anbesol, liquid or gel.
There are over 500,000 doctors, and they catch colds just like you. For their own achy colds, more doctors in a nationwide survey said they'd take the formula in Dristan than the formulas in these others combined. The Dristan formula, tablets or caplets.
Of the world's leading motor oils, only one exceeds all car makers' U.S. warranty requirements and surpasses the American Petroleum Institute's highest standards for car engine protection for every weight it sells. Only one oil, only Pennzoil. You can't buy better engine protection for your car. So choose the world-class protection of Pennzoil motor oil.
This is CBS.